Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be. Oh, when have we got Leeds? Sorry.
What a start. What a start. You're right, Joe.
Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be. Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, and welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. Yeah, my drink went down wrong hole. I do apologise. All good. I'm all good. I hope you're all doing well. Please smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course, hit that notification bell. Listen, folks, this is a bit of a plea because in the last, how many days in August are we on? We're on the 17th of August, and already I've got 1,000 subscribers within this month, and it is only the 17th, so it shows the rate in which the channel is growing. I owe a lot of that to the fantastic content that we're putting out, and these two are heavily involved in that, so I want to thank them as well. But if you are new here and you haven't subscribed, it would be amazing if we could get to 23, because we've only just passed 22. So let's make it happen, folks. As I say, Lockie and Andrea's channels and Twitter are in the description as well. So make sure you check them out. Apologies for being late. It's just to build suspense, folks. That's all it is, because you're in for one hell of a show tonight. But then again, when you're not in for a good show, when you've got myself, you've got everyone's favorite Italian, and you've got everyone's favorite moppy-head tactician dude guy, something like that. Yeah, I didn't know what to say. I thought that worked.
Harvey Impersonator.
Yeah, Harvey Elliott. You've got our answer to Leeds' answer to Harvey Elliott. Yeah, Mr. Ben Locke. Andrea, everyone's asking what's your top. Do you wanna let them in and tell them what it is?
Yeah, it's the top of the shirt of my local team here in Italy, Reggiana. So that's
Reggiana.
I think let's change it a bit. Now they start the league campaign this week, so tribute to them. They're my local club. They follow them, work for them, of course, in the past. So yeah, it's a nice shirt too. It's not red, it's maroon. That's important. Not red.
I don't mind. Listen, bro, I don't mind you wearing different shirts. Just don't come in a Man United shirt one time. No worries. No worries. You're not even allowed to wear red, bro. I wore a red top once.
It's not red. It's not red. Oh my God. It's maroon. It's like it's similar to one of ours actually. But
yeah, I had that on earlier actually. To be fair, on another thing I did. Oh, it was the Melier video. What do we make to that, folks? Did you see that? It was from top tier Florian Plettenberg, so there was something in it, but it basically what it said was that Melier had been offered to Manchester City because Ortega, I don't think it's going through anymore, was potentially on his way to Bayern Munich, and Man City had said no because they weren't happy with another option at number 2. And apparently Melier was offered. And then I sort of put 2 and 2 together and thought, well, it was only last week we were hearing links to Real Madrid. And obviously Courtois got injured. So it may be a case of that when, opportunities are arising, whether or not it's the club or Melier's agent, but they're clearly touting his services out,
Yeah, absolutely. Because I still think they've brought in Darlow based on the fact
number one.
That's number one.
Yeah,
so I think if the opportunity arrives, they'll try to offload Melier at the right price, of course. Because, of course, like you mentioned, Bayern Munich, I read that probably they're going to bring in Daniel Peretz, the Israeli goalkeeper of the under-21 and under-20 national team with goalkeeper. And honestly, I read today also that Chelsea are looking for a number 2. And if you remember, at the start, before the Euros, he said, I would like to go to Chelsea, but only if I go there to be the number 1. But maybe he can go there and be the number 2,
Yeah, because
there's
they've been linked with Schmeichel as well of Chelsea. They've actually been linked with Kasper Schmeichel as well.
Michael too.
So they're clearly looking for a number two, if you like, because obviously, I mean, Sanchez from Brighton, he's good, but I don't think he's Chelsea good, if you know what I mean. It was a keeper that I'd have looked at had we have stayed in the Premier League. It'd be one that I'd have said, you know what, try get Sanchez away from Brighton. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, that was that. Go on, mate.
Yeah, we have 4 goalkeepers, so one has to go for me, at least on loan. You have Darlow, Meslier, Clayson, and Van den Heuvel. So at least maybe you keep both Meslier and Darlow, and you have to loan out Clayson. But the realistic scenario, if Meslier goes, of course, Darlow number 1, and of course Clayson is the number 2.
Yeah,
you can have 2 number 1s. You can have 2 number 1s. In the end.
Well, unless you're Arsenal, they've got Raya, and they've said, he's actually come out and said, Annie Arteta, that we've got 2 number 1s. I don't think that works, Lockie. Do you, having 2 number 1s?
I don't see how good about it, to be honest. I know you need competition, but you want kind of your number 1, then you want either a younger guy pushing him, right? That's exactly. 2 number 1s as a goalkeeper, 2 guys that really want to play it. That's just not going to cause good things for me, to be honest.
No. I agree. I know I don't want to jump ahead because we do our lineups towards the end, but I think there's a big chance that Darlow gets the nod this week just because he's had enough training time now, a good few weeks. But then again, I seen the Meslier Sky interview, which makes you think, because, you know, like Daniel Farker did the little snippet yesterday, there was one of Meslier earlier on as well, so that made me think, that's interesting.
Carl Darlow was on the the Leeds pod today. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. Oh, the official one. Oh, sorry. No, I haven't seen that. I don't watch it, mate, to be honest, because it's the only time I watched it was when Parag. They're not going to be honest, if you know what I mean. Club media. I get it. Some people watch it. It's just not for me because, but why? What was said, Ben? What was said?
Darlow's quite good, to be honest. He's talking about how he knows there's going to be competition, but he sees himself this is paraphrasing, by the way. He sees himself as number 1. He's going to push for that, and he said in time he's going to be patient, but he thinks he wants to be number 1. So.
Of course, if he's upset, he had two options: Bournemouth number 2 and Leeds. Of course, he dropping down a division after all these years because, of course, last time he played in the Championship, of course, he played on loan at Hull City, but at his parent club was with Newcastle when they won the league. So basically, dropping down to the Championship again permanently, you have to be the number 1 if you have the option to stay in the Premier League and be the number 2. So I think they'll still try to sell or loan out Meslier before the end of the window, possibly sell.
Yeah. Before we get again into West Brom, there seems to be a lot of confusion over this Tyler Adams situation, especially from the Bournemouth side. It looks to me like, well, the club are saying you've missed the date. I think the way I see it is, and again, this is just guesswork. This isn't me trying to be ITK or anything like that, but my assumption is that there may have been like an expression of interest. Yes, we're going to bid, but I don't think an official bid went in. That's where my head's at, because if it had been, then Leeds don't have a leg to stand on. Do you know what I mean? But the fact Leeds have said, no, you've missed the date.
What's the point? What's the point where you have to stop? Because if a bid's been put in, you still as a player have to go and sign, right? So
well, he didn't even go for a medical, no papers signed. Yeah,
so they might have put the bid in, but it didn't get further enough to actually sign for the team, even though there might have been an agreement to sell. Well, they had to sell because there were a clause. So.
I wonder if it is a case of like it. I guess Leeds' stance might be all had to be done, i.e., contract signed, medical done, and maybe because that wasn't done within the time. And for me, I don't know if you agree, Andrea, Tyler Adams was willing to sit in London in a hotel and wait for Chelsea. The fact that he didn't get his ass down to Bournemouth and get a medical done within the time shows me that he weren't that asked about the move anyway, potentially.
Absolutely. Let's remember that during the World Cup, there were rumors about European clubs interested in Tyler Adams. So if he wants to move to the Premier League, of course, he's still the captain of the USA. But honestly, he was really hyped last season, especially in the US. So honestly, if he wants to move, I think he wants to move just to European clubs. or Premier League clubs playing in European competition. That's what I mean. For example, Aston Villa were rumored to be very interested in the past, and they play in the conference this season. Brighton play in the Europa League. So Chelsea don't play in the European competition this season, but of course they are one of the historical top clubs in the Premier League, and they can offer some money in terms of wages and buy practically anyone this season. So honestly, going again to Bournemouth, a club that will challenge for mid-table, or I think they will easily finish mid-table. Honestly, I don't think there'll be a relegation battle for me. But maybe he thinks he can go to a higher club with higher ambitions and expectations, probably.
Yeah, he's been training as well, hasn't he? Same as Sinisterra and Nonto. He's actually been training well as well. He's been part of the squad, so he's clearly now committed. Until obviously, if a big bid comes in, that changes. But he's clearly, when he's here, he's committed. So that's good enough for me, to be honest.
Yeah, and especially we don't know the level of fitness he has, because if he's in training, of course, Farke didn't elaborate on that, didn't explain the whole picture, the whole situation, his current situation of others. But if he's trained with the squad, to me, says that it's ready to play at least, or at least be on the bench. So maybe we'll have a surprise tomorrow. We'll see him start alongside Ampadu. Maybe he'll be on the bench. We don't know.
That'd be a lovely surprise, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we really don't know the level of his fitness, because weeks ago he said that Harrison and Adams were almost ready to train again with the group after
the international break, wasn't it?
Yeah. After the international break. So if he's ahead of his schedule, maybe he can even be on the bench, or surprise, maybe he even start tomorrow. We don't know that. He didn't explain the whole the fitness situation of Adams, so we don't know if he's 100% fit or 20% fit. It's a big question mark on him right now.
Yeah, I think the thing is, as well as few people mention it, this 4-month injury is BS. He was never out for 4 months. He was due back after the international break. That's the date we were told. Then this story came out that Chelsea, it was the medical that was it wasn't the medical that caused issues at all. Adams was sat in London waiting to sign. The reason Chelsea pulled the Adams deal is because they wanted Caicedo and Lavia. If anything, a bit like Caicedo used Liverpool, Chelsea used Tyler Adams. This happens. I genuinely think that was the case. They used Tyler Adams. And that's what happened with Caicedo. You know, they'd convinced Klopp enough to be sat in a press conference to go, yeah, we've agreed a deal, for him to go, nah, I'm going to Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? There's no way Klopp. There's no way Klopp goes into a press conference that confident unless he'd had some assurances that the player might be up for the move. And he used it. And again, I think, Tyler Adams was used because this sort of skullfuggery goes down. Believe me, it goes down. So Tyler Adams in twerking for Chelsea, because I believe that's what he was doing. The fact he was willing to go. That's why, for me, he wouldn't get the captaincy. I still stand by that point. I know a lot of people last season said he deserves it, but the fact that he was willing to, to sit around and wait to move to that club, for me, he doesn't get the captaincy. It is what it is, but that's just my opinion. We're talking about Adams. Look, there's been a lot of debate actually on a thread on mine earlier about whether Adams is replaceable. Some think he isn't. Some think he is. I think he's quite replaceable. I had someone on Twitter try to say that it was a box-to-box midfielder and can play anywhere, and I was a bit like, no, you're definitely over egging his abilities. But Andrea, when I heard you mention the possibility of Ampadu and Adams as a midfield too, he's good, right? It would be good.
Yeah, especially because they know each other pretty well, having played together. Of course, Ampadu didn't get much games when he was on loan at RB Leipzig, but when you arrived and signed, of course, there's already a friendship between them, and honestly, they will pair pretty good. Honestly, of course, we still need players to create and have more depth in midfield, and particularly the real problem in that is that Ampadu has more vision. Adams will be the defensive wall in front of the defense, staying back and bringing physicality and aggression in front of the defense. But the only problem is that both of them are not box-to-box midfielders. So you still need a number 10 to go and do both phases.
And unfortunately,
that 10 role is vital for us.
Yeah, exactly.
And unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be Ilias Chair, Ben, because it looks like he's on his way to Leicester. I actually got a text off Lockie saying, I watched your show last night, Joe. Andrea, I love him. Every name you mentioned, Andrea was going, he's going to Leicester. I was like, I know, he did mine and Lockie's head in.
I'm honest, I'm just honest. I think the Leicester move ahead of us in time, so they're getting these deals done. Like with Casadei would have been the perfect number 10 for us, but they were quick under us, and they got him on loan. And honestly, if we get Spalletti as the new manager of Italy, you'll see him in the squad in the next call-up for the qualifiers in September. Casadei, trust me, it will be call-up.
On Chair as well, I did mention as well, off the ball, he worries me in this system. And if Tyler Adams does it, I still think it's unlikely, I'll be honest. But if Tyler Adams is here next season and you have Ampadu and Tyler Adams, Chair for me is not the guy in front. I don't think he moves enough off the ball. I think you need a 10/8, a guy who can do both. I think Chair's predominantly a 10. Fairly, I'm not saying lazy, that's a horrible stereotype, but he knows what he's good at and he'll do what he's good at. He's not a runner, he's not a closing down necessarily. He's a number 10 and he's a very creative player. But I think with those two double pivots to balance the midfield out, we definitely need a guy who can do the running as well as create for me. So, yeah.
Any names spring to mind?
Alzate from Brighton. That Ilka player, Tommy Doyle, I still think would be outstanding in that role potentially. Yeah. Oscar Bob, my guy. Yeah, those type of players.
I have only one name.
I know you're going to say
Laszlo Bene.
Yeah. Him too. Yeah.
Like, it will be perfect. Trust me, it will be perfect because the Zweite Bundesliga, the second tier of the Bundesliga, the second tier of German football, is similar in terms of rhythm and physicality to the Championship. So he's doing beats right now there, and it will be
Reicher too from Germany.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you mentioned
Richter. Yeah, Richter from. The only problem, Loki, is that they have named him captain. So I don't know if.
I saw him with the armband on the other week. Yeah.
I've done a bit of research on Zweite Bundesliga because there's a good team there. There's some good teams. My favorite German team is 80-60 Munich. Actually, they play in the third tier because I like them. I like their history is similar to the one of Leeds actually recently. So yeah, my preference is for them. But there's some good players out there in the second tier of Bundesliga, like Farke showed when he went to Norwich the first time, bringing good cheap deals from the Bundesliga,
And this is what's important, is even though we don't get these targets, there is still of us. There's a lot out there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So we just need to trust our recruitment process, basically, to get the right people.
Well, this is the thing. If we're being honest, with the deals we've done so far, they've all been a success up to this point. I know we're only 2 games in, but they've been good deals at decent prices. So we have to say that about the current regime, as negative I've been towards them of late. You can praise for the deals that have been done, for sure. And let's be real. Just because a player has a name means jack all, because Brighton paid about 2 million for Moses Caicedo. They've just sold him for 115. There are gems out there. No one knew about Rafinha really before he came to Leeds United, especially in our group. Some will have, of course. Probably Andrea knew. But
I knew him from FIFA. I knew him from FIFA.
There you go. Probably Lockie knew as well, but I was, no. What do you make to the links to Josh Brownhill? I don't know if there's any credibility to them, to be honest. He scored a lot of goals and got involved last season at Burnley. I actually had him down for a yellow card in their game against City and was surprised he didn't even start. So it looks like he could be available. Leeds have been linked. I know Leicester have as well. But would he suit us at all, lads, Josh Brownhill?
Well, the only positive, it's not my favorite, my type of player, honestly, to be fair, and I don't think he would be the perfect type of player for this system. But he has physicality. He's strong. He's good defensively, and honestly, that will be those will be the good characteristics and skills he will bring to the team. Not my favorite type of player, to be fair, but
no.
If not him, we still need a player in the squad in midfield with some level of physicality, because Cardiff, they had physical players. We struggled in midfield in the first half. Birmingham, we struggled because of Šunić and Bielik.
Yeah.
Do you know that Cardiff game? I forget the name of the lad that got subbed off, but I don't think we get back into it if he's in. One of them got injured.
Rolls.
Yeah. I think he was an important part of what they were doing in there. Was involved a lot, and then was he the captain as well, right? And then he went off. And look, I know we dominated them in the second half, but again, I agree with you. And also, even away at Birmingham, the two lads in there. But then again, Birmingham, we can't really say because that squad was diabolical.
Actually, one player I would like is a guy that we're going to come up against tomorrow, and that's John Swift. I'd love John Swift for Leeds.
Yeah. And Lewis O'Brien, and honestly,
there's loads out there, isn't there?
Yeah, honestly, Lewis O'Brien will be perfect for the system. Perfect.
Josh Brown last year for Burnley played 41 times, 7 goals, 8 assists from centre mid. So
yeah,
pretty impressive.
Josh Brownell, last season, he did really well. Alex says Joel Lockie is just as educated as Andre. You're doing down. I don't think I have I, Lockie?
No. Andre knows more about stuff in football than me.
Oh no.
I stick to my lane.
No. We have Lockie. If you talk about the tactics and especially the scouting of certain teams, especially, he's more qualified than me. Trust me.
Any knowledge anywhere in a book, Andre is definitely the man. I don't read.
We actually were chatting about this in our little group chat before we came live. I've watched a little bit of it, folks. Afterwards, you too can go and watch it. One of the few key points in there, they did speak about Willie Gnonto and said he was a good lad. They believed a lot of it will be coming from his agent. Mentioned he got into a little bit of bother with his friend, which is Cree. And we've heard little murmurs that them two together are a bit of a nightmare. It might be a good thing, to be honest, if Willie was moved on. It might settle Cree a little bit because as a pair, they're clearly not great. But listen, nothing's been said about Cree, so maybe he ain't trying to engineer a move, but he is injured, so it'd be interesting to see there. But one of the key things I'm going to talk about is because obviously it involves my mortal enemy in Jesse Marsch. And the reason I say that is one of the key takeaways from that was the fact that when they came in and did training with Leeds United, a standard training session, they said, didn't they, Lockie, that the players had said that were the hardest they'd worked all season. Carl Robinson said it was just a standard training session.
A run-of-the-mill standard training session, and it was the hardest they worked all season.
Mental.
Ridiculous.
Mental.
Sam said he went through it with the analysts, talk about what's wrong with the team. He said they're way off it in fitness. They went from literally the fittest team in the league to bottom 3 in the space of a year, which is mind-blowing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just need to remind ourselves, Jesse Marsch was good in the Austrian league. Went to RB Leipzig with a stellar team who, after he was replaced, finished in the European places in Germany.
Yeah.
Failed at RB Leipzig. Went to Leeds after a Marcelo Bielsa. They brought in all the players that he wanted. Christensen, Aronson, Roca, Tyler Adams. They failed with Bamba Dieng and Gakpo, but brought in Gnonto. He said that Gnonto wasn't ready to play in the Premier League. Turned out to be, along with Adams, the best player of last season. Failed at Leeds too. He failed at 2 big clubs. So that there's so much hype around Jesse Marsch, but really in 2 of the biggest leagues in Europe, he failed. He failed miserably, and he was good at talking. Really, it was like a hype man.
That's all he was good at, mate.
Exactly.
But even after a while, you could see through it anyway. You could see it were all bullshit anyway.
Exactly, and the club hyped him too, because if you remember when he after we avoided relegation, at the start of the next season there was this narrative, especially on the socials, of comparing him with Ted Lasso, Believe, when they substituted.
But he's so like that though, isn't he? He is literally
exactly. If you watch Ted Lasso, honestly, some of the lines of the conversations into the series remind you after
exactly. This is what I'm saying. He came in going, yeah, but literally by the end, that is all he was. Lockie, you were going to say something, sorry.
I was just going to say, so they mentioned they mentioned the last two. So obviously that's Javi Rassi as well, who came in a difficult situation, let's be honest.
But that's what I'm saying. They could have already been gone by that point. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
It seems like when he came in, he didn't have an emphasis on fitness. It was more about trying to win each game individually. So by that point, it's difficult to really come back from it, to be honest. Yeah. And Sam said, and Carl said, when they came in, they couldn't coach. They had to get them fit first. And with 4 games to go, no chance of staying up. Now, in hindsight, looking back at it, absolutely no chance.
And this guy had the audacity to mock the fact that they'd ripped out the sleeping pods and turned it into a media centre. That is all you need to see about that guy. Like, is it any wonder? And this again comes back to I don't think Rocker ever suited the system we were trying to play under Jesse, but ultimately that guy could never make it through 90 minutes. Now ask yourself the question: had he have been given some proper fitness training and a proper pre-season, we might have actually seen a player out of him. He was obviously out on his feet. Do you know what I mean? He literally I can't remember 90 minutes he made. He used to do like 55 minutes and that. Do you know what I mean? Mental.
And went to Real Betis first game. One of the best players for their side. So
system. All about system, isn't it?
Ultimately, I think those players were bad. Some of them really jumped off at the first opportunity. So they really didn't care about. They were scared. Yeah,
that was the best. They're scared, man. They're scared. Like, what even is that?
I don't know who was worse between, honestly, Marsch, who was the start of it. Of that regress, and Javi Gracia was the worst manager I've ever seen, honestly. Since
I liked him for that little bit just because it wasn't Jesse, I think.
He was even worse than Darko Milanic and honestly, Dave Walker. He didn't have a clue, honestly.
Another thing they said as well. Sorry, I was going to say another thing they said in the canteen. It was flat, so no one spoke to each other. That is terrible. That it must be. How are you expecting to go out and win for these guys? People say they didn't try because they didn't care, because that's been drowned into them for the last whatever since. It was a terrible situation.
Mental, innit? Mental. It was so bad. Zach says, are any of you going to the game tomorrow? I know I'm not. I know Andrea is in Italy. Did you get yourself a ticket, Ben?
No, Manchester trains. Can't get there. Been no trains for the way back, so.
There you go. Why have you got a picture of a stretched out Jean Mutini or FIFA card? That's a random card, bro. Wanderless 10 says, do you think Cini and Adams' clause contract situations would have been looked at and sorted today? Look, as far as I'm aware, they're done, but obviously there's legality to it. What that means, I'm not too sure, but it'll all come out in the wash, and by the end of the window, we know they'll be here or not, right? That's the thing. We'll know if they're here or not. Hopefully they are, because I think Adams probably we can get money for if it helps us, replenish the rest of the squad. But if he is to stay, it's a massive plus as well. And Cini, for me, becomes the best player in the league, or at least one of, or if not in the top one, for me. So I think it's fair to say that. I think Cree on one side, Cini on the other, and a brand new number 10 as well as a new number 9. I think we're cooking on gas. Cooking on gas. So we're not too far away. We've just to get through this month, which takes us on nicely to tomorrow night's game. Friday nights, under the lights, at Elland Road. The last time we had a Friday nights under the lights game, we scored within 17 seconds. Pablo Hernandez. That famous goal. So hopefully we can see something similar. After tonight's preview, I've got a feeling we won't be feeling like that, but let's go into it thinking like that. Let me hand over to my lovely assistant, Mr. Ben Locke, who's going to go through his thoughts on West Brom.
Right. Before I got into this, guys, go nice. This was so difficult. Carlos Corberan is something. His tactics. You can tell he's a Bielsa disciple because Jesus, yeah. Right. So this is the lineup I've tried to put together based on the last 2 games. So in the last, I've put context. The last 2 games, they played with 3 at the back, and then we played a 4-2-3-1 against Blackburn in the first game. So it was very difficult to decide what formation they were playing for the first time. So what I did was, against Blackburn, they also played a 4-2-3-1 both. So I feel, and then Swansea also played with a back three, so I feel like he's kind of matching man for man. So that made more sense. So I went with a 4-2-3-1 because that's what we play. Could be a 5 at the back. Like, that is a very big possibility. As for the starting 11, there's some names there that we're all probably aware of. Connor Townsend's a decent fullback. I think he's their captain, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that. Ajay, we know. Furlong's been around a while now. Jason Malumbi, we were linked with, good player. Yukozlu in there, good player. Jeremy Sarmiento, is that right? Sarmiento. Obviously, wasn't on loan at Brighton. Well, he's on loan from Brighton, sorry. Good player. Honestly, he's one I'd have been interested in, to be honest. I put him, he's not started yet, but I think he might start in that 10 role if they play this formation. I think he could cause us problems. John Swift on the left, whether he'll go into midfield and they'll play Chalobah in midfield, a bit more physicality, that's potential as well. But John Swift is a guy to watch for sure. He's very creative for them, and we'll get into that. Jed Wallace, we all know, he likes to score against Leeds. Decent player, to be fair. Good at cutting in. Matt Phillips, he's got a decent strike on him. He's a winger, but they're struggling for strikers.
Pace, he has, right? Has he still got that pace? I know he's getting on now.
He's on the ball, cutting in with the ball and having a shot. He's very decent at. He scored a decent goal for them first game of the season. So definitely want to watch a decent side. Alex Palmer, I don't actually know too much about Alex Palmer. But he's their goalkeeper. So that's their 11. Anything, Andre or Roger, to say on?
I mean, I was just laughing at this comment there. I don't know if he's saying it sarcastically, because for me, quite a lot of them walk into our 11, especially the 11 that started against against Birmingham. Maybe not Cardiff, but I mean, any of them 2 midfielders in the 10 would. Maybe not the 2. No, I'd still like them. Actually, to be fair, they would make their way. Maybe not into the starting 11. I like Kipri and Ajayi. I think Kipri was at Wigan before, wasn't he? Jed Wallace and Swift. Swift would be great in the 10 for us. So, yeah, I really like the West Brom side, and I like the coach even more. So I think it's going to be tough.
David mentioned that the coach is Carlos Cobrahan, who a lot of us love, some of us don't care about, but was one I did want. But I'm happy with Daniel Farke, more than happy with Daniel Farke. So that's the lineup. As I said, it could be a back 5, back 3, whichever 3 centre backs, 2 wing backs. It could be that, but I've gone with this one just for the sake of it because I had to choose. You've got an alternate, Andre, right?
No, I think that they'll play 4-2-3-1 because they played 3-4-3 in the last game against Swansea, and they won with 3 at the back. But honestly, against Leeds, I think Carlos will try to take the game to us and crowd the midfield, and makes total sense to have 2 physical guys in the middle with one doing box to box in the 10 role. So I have a slightly different formation. I think they'll play with Palmer, Furlong, Ayaji, Kipre, and Townsend. So like you, but I think Swift will not play on the left wing, because he can also play in a deeper role, because he's also a creative playmaker.
He can play anywhere, really, in the midfield.
Exactly, he can play anywhere. He's a very utility player. I think they'll play with Yukozlu and Swift at the back, because Swift will be their creative playmaker and will be in physicality, because they press a lot, like you're going to say probably later. And they usually play man on man. So they press on a very specific, in a very specific way, and try to win the physical battle in midfield. And with Swift and Yukozlu, you have the physicality at the back, but also the creativity with Swift. So I think they'll move Sarmiento on the left and Wallace on the right, and Phillips, despite the fact that they have Thomas Asante in doubt because he has a knock on his ankle. I think they'll still play Phillips, but if Asante or Maja are ready to start, because they have Maja too, who was mentioned in our scouting report back in the day.
Have they signed Josh Maja, have they?
They have.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maja, because Daryl Dyke is injured too.
Yeah.
So probably I think if Thomas Asante or Maja start, I think they'll move Phillips on one of the wings, and they'll take Sarmiento out probably because of the fitness level. Of course, Carlos said that Sarmiento and Maja have to reach a certain level of fitness level, and that shows you how hard they press during the game. And like Locke is going to say, probably that can also bring pros, because you are very offensive, but also cons, because it can leave you open in certain situations. So if you want to touch on that, Lockie.
Yeah, I will. Just as Andrea said, I'm basing this on the fact that Asante and Madja are not fit enough yet. I do expect one of these guys to start up top, or maybe Madja potential on the wing, like Andrea said, depending on if they're fit. But I've gone with that they're not for the sake of the team. So yeah, that's their team there. Carl Bartley as well, a guy we all know. He's still hanging about. Dangers. This is personnel wise. Obviously, we spoke about John Swift, a guy I'd like at Leeds. I've liked him for years now. Really good player. Honestly, unlucky not to be in the Premier League for me. I think he's got that quality. I do. Yeah. Last game, he made 3 key passes. And to put that into context, the other players who made key passes had 1 each. That was the second highest. I think 3 players had 1 key pass. That's from both sides, by the way. And John Swift had 3 key passes in a game. And he won the pass which got the penalty. I think he got another assist and from a corner, and he scored the penalty. So very good creative play. As you can see as well, look at his positioning. His position's a fake one. He can start him wherever he wants. He goes and he'll create wherever he needs to. If he has to drop deep to create chances and progress the ball, he'll do it. If he has to go to the other side and he'll do it. Like, obviously that's from the corner there. He's a really good creative player. One that could cause us problems, definitely. And where he plays, it has to be marshalled closely by whoever's near him, because he can turn the game on its head for me. I've put their attacking set pieces a big danger for them. So they scored 2, and I'll show them in a minute, from set pieces. Very, very physical set pieces, let's just say that. Very strange, very chaotic, but they scored from 2 set pieces and a penalty, which is a weakness in open play. They don't score a lot of goals, especially from the striker, which we'll get into. Physicality, as Andrea touched on, some very physical players. I honestly think if we go toe-to-toe and try a physical battle, I think we'll lose. Yeah, I think Carlos wants that. We know what he's got. He loves them to be fit and running and physical, like wasn't Bielsa. Similar in that sense. You've got to run more. You've got to be better than them in terms of physical battle. But they will sit into a block if they have to, a deep block. If they need to do that, they will do that, and they'll do that a lot, actually, I think. Another thing, obviously, they press man for man. I'll show that. But what they also do is when they lose the ball high up, so when they've had an attack and they lose it, they'll press after they lose it. A lot of teams retreat. They won't let you out. They want to keep you in your defensive third, and they want to make mistakes. And there's an interesting thing on throw-ins for them, which is very unique. But yeah, and Townsend there, their fullback, will overlap and get involved in the build-up.
Rodon's going to be big in this then, isn't he, in terms of getting us out, do you think?
He is, and that's coming up soon. What are you going to say, Andre?
Yeah, no, just of course it's a different man, Carlos Corberán, to Bielsa, but the fact they press after there is possession is a characteristic that is shown along from Bielsa, and especially looking at the physicality, they have a lot of options in midfield. Also, the depth they have is pretty better than ours, because they have a lot of options, especially Yakuzlu. They have Chalobah on the bench and Mowat on the bench. So there's a lot of options up front. They have Madja or Phillips. They can have also, Reach and Diangana are out because they're injured. But look, Chalobah, Mowat, Peters, Kalbar. These are players with tons of experience in the championship. They know what to expect from these games, and especially they know the league. They know the level of rhythm, the level of pressure that you have to put on center teams. The typical championship game, like it was at Birmingham last Sunday, And honestly, the last thing that I was going to say actually is that I think one of those midfielders will man-mark Ampadu for me.
Right.
Carlos will make one of those players man-mark Ampadu for me in order to block all our verticality and our vision from the back, our build-up. I think when they press, he'll have a man statical on Ampadu, marking him.
So obviously we spoke about the press, but before we get on to that, we can call that their set pieces. So like I said, against Swansea, they really didn't create chances from open play, like at all. Neither team was great at that. It was a poor game in terms of direct chances from open play, but from set pieces. So this is from a throw-in. This is from a long throw-in, which is out on the right wing. Now, that's Ajayi jumping up with 4 defenders there, and he wins the ball in this area. So as you can see, they're aiming for this area on throw-ins. This is clearly part of the tactics, right? Big throw into the box. Ajayi, so that's one header they won. Flicks it backwards here to this guy. I can't tell if it's actually Kozlu or Malombi, one of them. But he flicks it backwards to this guy who wins the second header, who then nods it down to, I think that's Wallace, or one of them. He wins the third header in a row, and he knocks it cross back to Ajayi, who scores. So they win 3 headers in a row, then win the 4th ball and score a goal from a set piece. And this is what I mean by they're dangerous set pieces. It's chaotic.
Yakozlu, the first one.
Yeah. This guy, So Ajayi flicks it to Yakozlu, then flicks it back to Wallace, back across to Ajayi. So they're physical. It's set pieces attacking them. We have to be on it. We cannot allow this to happen. We have to have Cresswell. For me, this is where he comes in. Stuff like this, Rodon in the air. We need these players to really step up. This is another goal they scored from. This was a corner. Look how packed area. And I cut it off. There's no one at the back post. They've literally packed chaos in this area for that specific reason. It went to, I think that's Furlong, who hits the bar and goes in. Or the keeper saves it onto the bar. But this, you see what I mean? Playing in, this is training ground stuff. This is what they're planning to do at set pieces, chaotic, all packed into one area. So we have to be on it and we have to be ready, or they will score from set pieces. So that's set piece threats.
And lads, just before we go on, if you go back there, Lucky, just look at the physicality. They're big and they're strong. They look like a rugby team.
Massive.
So we're up to for a very physical body. They look like boxers, They can look at the 8. Look at how they overwhelm the Swansea players here.
Yeah.
If you look at the second picture, look, you only notice the West Brom players, because of their 8 and their strength, their physicality. Look at the difference between them and Swansea, and that will be the same tomorrow because we don't have many physical players apart from Rodon. So it will be very similar to that situation on set pieces.
Yeah. Even attacking as well. I don't think we'll create much from them because they'll just head it out, won't they?
Yeah. See, we'll get onto that, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll get onto that. That's interesting. I thought that until I watched some highlights.
Okay.
So we'll get
exactly same for me.
Just wild. Honestly, you won't believe it. Threats, set pieces. We've done that. Pressing. We know all about pressing, don't we? As you can see, look, this is Blackburn trying to play out from the back. Look at the high press. The ball was in here. It came out wide. They're on it straight away. Man for man. One man there. One man there. One man there. Him on him. Him getting the loose ball. And then this guy ready to get in on there. Man for man, high press. Now, what's interesting is they don't do it all the game. I must stress. It's in areas they think they can win the ball back. They will do it. They will sit in a block if they have to, soak up pressure, then attack with width. But if they think they can win the ball in high areas, they will press aggressively. Like Andre said, someone will be up an Ampadu. The ball player will not be allowed out. And this is where you mentioned Rodon, Joe, and how important he could be, just to be that extra calmness in there, just to drive out. We need to be disciplined. We need to be calm on the ball. For me, like I said, if we allow this situation too much, they will win it back like they did here. They won it back and they scored from it. Obviously, I can't show the clip, but they drove inside, created space for Phillips, who hits into the bottom corner. It's a good finish. So we have to avoid this situation. But as you can see, if you get it right, there is gaps. There always is in the press. And obviously, you can't see beyond that, but there's space beyond. If you go long, it might be a long ball. Because that's Townsend, by the way. That's their fullback.
This could really, really help us see the best of Dan James, right?
Yeah. Just keep him high up.
Yeah.
If we have to go here and we have to go a long ball in behind, well, not in behind, but wide, and Dan James gets on the end of it, it gets you up the pitch. Their threat's ruined then. So we have to find ways to beat that press, whether that's the number 10 dropping deeper or Rodon being in a role where he can drive with the ball, into these spaces. The off-ball movement is going to be big tomorrow, and we have to be up for it, or the press will kill us. Another thing here. So this is actually, again, from a throw-in, and we'll get into throw-ins in a sec. These are the 2 fullbacks I've highlighted. And this is what I mean by once they get you in an area, they want to keep you there. And what they'll do, they'll just keep bringing players into it, taking those risks. That's Furlong, that's their right back, and that's their left back. I think that's Ajayi as well. And this is from a throw-in, by the way. This clip's from a throw-in. They will take risks to create numerical overloads or chaos in certain areas to try and score goals. But if this comes to you in these positions, they're out of position. You can create an overload back. You can really counter them. So we have to be disciplined. And in these areas, we have to stay solid. We have to make sure they've not got any spare men anywhere. and we have to exploit them. As I said here, man-to-man high press, we know all about that, don't we? We've seen that under Bielsa. Use set pieces to attack from throw-ins, and I'll get into that in a sec. Off the ball movement. They're not the best side in possession. And we'll move on to that now, actually. As you can see, these possession, the last 2 games here, they've had 41% and 42%. They're not a good side in possession yet. That might grow into their game. But what they will happily do is soak up the pressure in their kind of low block that they play and create bigger chances in little amount of times, or from a press high up. That's where their chance comes from. Exactly. Now, as you look at the momentum graph as well, no real sustained possession in any of the games. And that's why I think, for me, if we try to go toe-to-toe with them in terms of physical battle, we'll lose it. They want that. We have to dominate the ball and keep the ball for me. It might be frustrating, it might be slow, but I think it'll work better.
Okay.
And I wanted to say throw-ins here. Look at the amount of throw-ins they have. 34, 27 compared to 15
it's
and 18.
A lot, isn't it? Yeah,
a lot of throw-ins, and that's going down to when they do get the ball, they play out wide a lot. They'll create overloads of width. So Ayling and whoever's on that side and Byram have to have support from the wingers or whoever, whether that's Archie Gray going out wide, because we cannot afford that. It's as simple as that. And from throw-ins, like I said, they use that as a way to stay in the attacking third. They'll overload people if they have to for throw-ins. Hence why they play for them. 34 and 27 is ridiculous. But from that, look at possession lost. And this is from 40% possession of the ball, by the way. They lost it more than their opponents each game, which shows as well, on the ball, they're not the greatest. Look, they can create good off-the-ball movement and get forward quickly. They can do that. But if you pressure them and put them under pressure, especially at the back, like Blackburn, they conceded 2 goals in about 30 seconds from high presses.
Okay.
There's definitely a way to score goals against this side. Dominating the ball, pressing high and stuff like that, it will all help. Now, just on these heat maps as well, these are the strikers' heat maps from each game. The striker. Apart from this little bit here, hardly in the box. This is Phillips against Swansea. Predominantly on the width. And this is what I mean by not having that central threat. So from that sense, we'll be quite comfortable. So we have to really isolate them on the wings and not allow them to build up. Because as you can see, this is where their build-up play comes from. The strikers don't really care about the box. They're looking to play out wide and build up out wide to get crosses in or have shots. So those are the kind of areas of the play that I think we could exploit potentially.
It would be a little bit different if of course, this is the Itmopo. I think the first one of Thomas Asante, Lokia, I think.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's Thomas Asante.
Thomas Asante, and the second one is Phillips. I guess. Yeah.
So it will depend on who plays, of course.
Exactly. What I was going to say, if Phillips starts, of course, he's an adapted striker. He's a winger naturally. He'll try to drift wide and get the ball and try to go centrally and find the space to create a scoring opportunity, from starting from the wing. If they play with Asante or Maja and Asante are similar, they'll try to take one of the centre backs with them and create the space for the wingers to underlap and find the space centrally to create scoring opportunity, and especially for the fullbacks, the strikers here do a lot of the ball work in that term, because they are crucial for the build up when they get in the final third, especially with and we are really similar in that, especially if you look at the Cardiff game in second half.
Yeah,
they do a lot of that inverted wingers going centrally, and a lot of passes between them and trying to create the space with 1-2s, that they do that a lot with the striker trying to drift the centre back wide and create the space for the central cut of the winger, of the 2 advancing midfielders, because of course Wallace and Swift or Sarmiento, they're more advanced midfielders than wingers, because Wallace can play in other positions too. So they're very versatile.
Yeah. And when they move inside, that's where Townsend comes into it. Very good width, very good player. He won a penalty for them. Their left back won a penalty from driving forward. So, but now we'll get into why we can beat them. All right, I'll give you guys a bit of hope.
Let's do it.
Why we win, how we win. Sorry, I've just look, and this picture on here is them in their block. This is when they played a back 5 against Swansea. Them in their block, right? This is what they'll do when they don't press after the press, when they've retreated. This is what they'll go like. Now, how we win, dominate the ball. I don't want to go into a 50-50 battle with West Brom, because they will beat us. They're used to that. That's what they want to do. We need to dominate the ball. I know it's I know sometimes we get frustrated and we don't necessarily have the quality to progress it as well as we want, but that's our style and we have to put that on them. Like I said last week, we didn't do that against Birmingham. We did not put our style on them because we couldn't really with the personnel, and that might be the same. But we have to dominate the ball. We have to keep them moving side to side. And if you look here, Swansea last week, they're a possession-based side, right? And
it feels like it's been a year this past week, mate. I can't lie to you. I don't blame you.
It's been horrible. But as you can see, when they went toe-to-toe with West Brom here, end-to-end, they were losing the game. Now, once they had sustained level of possession, they scored 2 goals. And that's what we need to do. Patience to break them down. Because they will make mistakes. And they did against Blackburn. They made 2 that led to goals. So we need to deal with the transitions as well. So that initial press they do when they lose the ball high up, we have to find a way to beat that. And if we can beat that, there is a lot of space in behind. There is. That's what we
need. Do you know what we need? Just jumping in. We need players to be brave, don't we? We need Rodon to be brave on the ball. We need Ampadu and Grave to be brave on the ball and also not bow to the pressure of the crowd. Because if one of the best performances I think under Grazia was that point we got away at Brighton, and a lot of that was due to the fact that the players just did stick to the task and didn't
discipline.
Discipline. Yeah, be brave, but also be disciplined. You know what I mean?
And you mentioned Joe Rodon, Joe, as well, and this is where he comes in here. When you're in a block like this, it's hard to break down normally, but if you can add a centre back into the mix who can run forward with the ball or progress the ball with passing, this is where you can create an advantage, especially in the wide areas here. So, look, we have to be brave, like you said. Whoever's in that 10 has to have a big responsibility in this game to get the ball forward. The wingers, it's big for them. And I know the squad players, Poveda, Shaq and all these will probably be playing again. This is their chance now. Look, they failed against Birmingham. Now they have to perform in this game. They have to, because we need them to be honest, because of people that don't want to play for the club, but they have to perform now. And be expressive, take those risks, stop being so regiment when you get to the front 4. We're not bothered. Leeds are not bothered. If you try and lose the ball, you get it back. We're not bothered about that. It's when you don't try and you're just kind of passing it. Get forward with it. 1v1s, take your guys on. Do you know what I mean? And this way you talk about set pieces, Joe. I've not got any clips from it, but I was watching the set pieces against Swansea, and I promise you they were absolutely shocking. They cannot defend set pieces. So Swansea scored from one, right, from a corner. And I promise you, 4 or 5 more times, Swansea should have scored from a corner. Right. These guys, I don't know if it's communication, the chaos, because like I said, when they go forward, it's the chaos that beats the attack inside. It's the same at the back. It's chaotic from set pieces. They're big lads, but they have no idea where the men are. They have no idea where anyone's meant to be. It was a shambles. I genuinely think we can get a goal from set piece tomorrow. I really do. Because they just look so unorganised, and I imagine they've worked on it. But yeah, I think set pieces is a big one. So that's it for me. B, it's hard to say, because we've got the personnel we have. We can't do it about that, can we? That's what we've got to deal with. But those personnel have to be 150%. Just put everything into the game, and we have a chance. They're not Man City. They're a good side. They're very well coached by Carlos Corberhan, but they concede silly goals. They've not got that vocal striker yet. They're not fully understanding the system. They leave gaps, they leave holes, and there's mistakes in their side in terms of passing and technical ability. So I really think we have a chance if we get it right. Whether we will, that's up to us. But I just want to end on this nice little thing here from
La vida es buena. La vida es buena.
Parker and also shaking hands there, so we can all smile. There we go.
To be honest, mate, you nearly made me cry there. To be honest, so.
But look how happy they are. Look how happy he's looked to me.
Yeah.
For me, another crucial point will be the pressing. We need to press them high.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't touch on that enough. Yeah, you're right. Go on. Yeah.
We need to press them when they try to build up from the back.
Yeah.
Try to press them high. It will be a similar game. There's 2 similar styles of football, so it can even be a nice scoring game. But the only problem is that who's going to score the goals for us right now?
Yeah.
That's the main problem. But I think the wingers, because of course Townsend and Furlong are attacking fullbacks and they overlap a lot in this system. Especially if you stop them pressing high, you find space on the wings. And the wingers will be crucial tomorrow. Absolutely crucial, because they like the game against Blackburn. and the one against Swansea when they conceded the 2 goals in the end. So there's spaces on the wing if you press them high. They leave spaces. That's why they changed from 4 at the back against Blackburn to 3 at the back when they played against Swansea, because he wanted to play with 3 defenders, but actually, because with 3 defenders, 3-4-3, the 2 outside midfielders, Townsend and Furlong, were actually the fullbacks. So basically, there were just 2 defensive midfielders and 1 striker and 2 wingers, with the 2 fullbacks playing in midfield. So it was like 5 at the back in the end. It was like a 4-3. But I think if they play again, like we said, with 4, there will be more spaces, especially going forward, because there'll be just 2 centre-backs. It's something that we have seen on our side versus Cardiff when we lost possession in the build-up, and they scored with the Dowda on the wing, put the ball to the middle, and Bowler shoot, and then they scored.
Well,
situations.
Let's have a chat then about how we expect Leeds United to line up.
Yep.
And how we go about winning this game. So let's get our lineup creator up, and we will fill in our 11 for tomorrow. So starting at the back then, folks, in the sticks, does Darlow get the nod yet, or are we still thinking Meslier is the man?
I think Mez still, personally.
Yeah. I guess there's got to be a reason to drop him, hasn't there?
Yeah.
And there hasn't been so far.
Yeah.
I'll start Darlow, to be fair, because, of course, there's been rumours about a possible transfer to Meslier. So, of course, he has to be a professional if that's true, if there's rumours, and if he knows that he's been offered to other clubs. But I think he'll start Meslier again, but I think it's the time to start Darlow for me personally, because especially for the type of game, we're facing one of, I think, was Brom in the end.
Pieces,
yeah. Yeah, well, they will face, apart from
That's
the physicality, it's what Meslier tomorrow worries me, honestly, to be fair, for his style of goalkeeping, especially like about what Lucky said about set pieces, about their physicality on corners. I'll start Darlow, to be fair, because he's more experienced.
Carlos knows him as well, doesn't he, Andrea? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. He knows him. He knows his weaknesses and strengths, So I would prefer Darlow, to be fair, honestly. But especially because, like I said, if there's truth about the rumors, if it was reported by Florian Plettenberg, it's one of the main journalists in Germany, about the links to Bayer, So if he is offered to other clubs, I don't know where his mind is right now. So for that and the physicality of the game, I'll start Darlow. But in the end,
see, the thing is that the thing that I've got in the back of my mind as well, and Jamie mentioned it, is that in the comments is, I know this might sound trivial, but he did the Sky interview as well, and I just think that tells me that he's number 1. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. Why would the club put him up?
I'm just trying to think of it from a tactical perspective, though, like Andrea said, with Carlos coming back in as well. He knows Meslier's weaknesses and their emphasis on set pieces. We need someone dominating in there, and Cardallo's much better coming for crosses. We know that Meslier, that's not his strong suit, is it, coming for crosses?
No, definitely not.
Especially not a better shot stopper too. Darlow.
This is a tough one.
Should we go Darlow? Yeah,
I want Darlow, but honestly,
we'll go.
Yeah, he probably start Meslier in the end.
Yeah,
but I think Darlow.
Let's put Meslier, because I think for me, in order for Meslier to come out, he has to do something to be dropped. So I think Meslier will keep his spot. And just with the Sky interviews as well, I think that tells me that he stays. Right back. Now, before we do, I want to flash up this stat, and I guess it also proves that not all stats can be misleading. Not our favourite podcast at the moment, but second tier. The lads are all right. They're just using us for clicks. Players who have completed the most tackles in the Championship. Luke Ayling is 3rd with 11. Are you surprised to see that stat, guys?
I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that they come down that side an awful lot.
Yeah.
It's similar to Codidrami last year. He had the most dribbled pass, but he also made one of the highest tackles as well, because they think that side's a side they can target. So naturally, you'll make a lot of tackles. Naturally, you'll get beaten a lot. So yeah, it kind of cancels it out.
Yeah. He got some good tackles versus Dembele on the other week, but got equally surpassed.
The most
other times, from behind, from Dembele, outpaced,
But with that in mind, do any of us feel he will drop Luke Ayling? I think he really likes him, I don't think he'll drop him. As much as we are getting frustrated with his legs, the fact that he went after Max Aarons, I don't think he rates Cody.
Do you know what? Just going on the game last week, for the first half, I guess you could say, I think he did all right against Dembele. I think he kept him quite quiet. It was the last 30 minutes where his legs totally went, didn't they, and massively struggled. So maybe if you start him and then Codidrami is fit enough to give you 30, 35 minutes, that's not a bad option potentially. I don't know, but yeah, I think
it sounds right. Honestly, well, like he said, it's like that. Maybe I don't think he'll drop him, Parker, especially because with Cooper out, he doesn't have senior players in that squad right now, and it's a very young side, and he needs experienced player like West Brom has, players that who know the type of game we should expect tomorrow night, So I don't think he'll drop him, like Rocky said.
Neither do I.
Spot on,
I don't think he will either. For what it's worth, I do. And this is me saying it, but I would like him to not start. But I don't think he drops him. The fact that he played three games last week as well, you've got to think that he played 3 games in like 7 days. So I don't think he drops him as much as the chat, and we all agree. I think he keeps his.
One thing
spot.
I will say though, they don't have that. They don't have a Dembele type player really.
Yeah.
So it might fare him a bit better. Swift is there, but Swift will move inside and move. If he is there, he'll move all over the place. That might help him a bit.
Yeah, it's more like Matt Phillips. It's more pace and power, isn't it, as opposed to like technical.
He'll cut inside a lot and have a shot, stuff like that.
Yeah, fair. Right, okay. Let's start. We'll just switch over to left back. There's no competition there. Obviously, Leo. Leo's not it. So I think we all expect Byram to start at left back.
He's injured too. He held them.
He got concussion. I was going to say, I thought you meant Byram then as well, but Leo's got concussion, hasn't he? Leo's got concussion and won't be free till Monday, I think, right? Was it Monday, he said, I think.
Yeah, and then we'll see if the move to Salernitana materializes or not.
Yeah. I think if the club get a fullback in, they'll sanction that move. Yeah. I think that's what they're waiting on. Yeah, same. I think they're waiting for someone in before they let Hjelde go. Right, centre-back partnership. It's who partners Rodon for me. Yeah. I think Rodon definitely starts after a week in training now. My pick would be Strauch. Does anyone disagree?
No.
I agree with you. Okay. I think this depends on who's up top.
Okay.
Physical battle.
But Farker won't know that, will he, going into the game?
No. I don't know. This one's always tough. Right. Yeah.
I don't think it is Locke.
Do you not?
No, I think it's Rodon and Strauch, me.
Wait. If Rodon's on the right, then it will be Strauch on the left.
Yeah, exactly. For that reason.
Yeah. I just think as well, Creswell. Don't know if he's ready to be starting week in, week out yet. Is that?
I'm interested to see how they both get on with Rodon next week personally, because we saw when Ben White comes in and totally different player, changes the entire defense. I'll go Strauch. I think I'll stick with you guys.
Rodon Strauch is a good partnership for the league, honestly.
I agree.
If Strauch is back to its top form, So the pre-Jesse Marsch form.
Rodon's a calm player as well, which will help Strauch. Will help Strauch a lot.
The midfield too, no surprises there. It's going to be Ampadu and Gray, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Well, there's the question mark for me about the fitness of Adams, because they say he's back in training, but we don't know if he's 100% ready or 60% ready or 10%
I think he said international break though, didn't he? After the international break. I know he's training with the squad, but do you think he throws him in? I mean, I'd love it.
We don't know how ready he is right now. So if he's totally ready, I think you need to put him straight away. Ampadu, Adams for the level of the game, and especially Gray, I think will struggle at the beginning tomorrow to understand the game, and he need to do what he did against Cardiff, because they will press Ampadu and Gray will need to carry the ball up. If he does that, I think he will adapt pretty well to the game later on. But I think he will struggle at the beginning. I think that for the type of game we should expect, Ampadu and Adams will be the perfect partnership at the back, because they're very physical, and these are the two more physical midfielders we have. They're not much physical, but if you look at the others, Shackleton, JB still needs to put some muscles on, because after he does that, I think he will have the physicality also to be a more complete player going forward for his career. But yeah, if Adams is not ready, Ampadu and Gray, yeah.
Let me just log in here. I swear I've got an account. Sorry.
I think that's Mike just sent you in the private chat.
Yeah, Mike McGrath's just announced a state of play on Tyler Adams. Let me just have a look, because I do actually have a subscription. Just bear with us 1 minute. I'm trying to find it.
What if Ampadu got injured? We are screwed, mate. R.I.P.
That's Davison Sanchez. It says Tyler Adams, but I'm trying to read it now. Spartak Moscow, Monaco, Salisu, Adebayo, Adeven.
Adams waits on Bournemouth move, he says.
Where's that say, mate? How far down's that? Oh, I've got it. Right. Okay, let me share my screen so people can get a look at it. Okay, so this is it. Adams waiting on Bournemouth move. Leeds midfielder Tyler Adams is waiting to find out whether his move to Bournemouth will go ahead after a bid was made on Monday. The USA international is among the players who had an exit clause if Leeds were relegated, although the exact figure is undisclosed. Bournemouth made a bid of around 20 million, but the deal rests on whether that meets the release clause or if Leeds can reject the bid. Adams' release clause was met by Chelsea, but the move collapsed after playing 20. I mean, there's no there, is there? No. That is nothing. That's what we already know. Yeah. Absolute joke.
As far as we're aware, Adams also left the club while he's here.
Yeah. There's nothing there, is there, really?
Yeah, no.
At all. Yeah. Old news.
But if he's in the squad and he's training with the squad, it's committed.
When he's still
at the club. So probably if he doesn't want to play for the club, he'll be training by now with Gnonto and other players. Like Sinistera was waiting to to know more about his future and the legal status of his release clause,
Yeah, no, fair. I'm just going to paste that on Twitter so people don't have to fucking stress about what it is, because it literally is what we already know. There you go. Cool, that's on Twitter if you want to read that in your leisure, people. Right, okay, let's get back to our lineup. Just bear with us 1 minute. Here we go. So, Ampadu, for me, it's I know what you're saying, but I don't think Adams gets anywhere close yet.
It'd be a lovely surprise, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. Yeah, it would. Mm-hmm. But I think it'll be Ampadu and Gray for me. Yeah, happy with that?
Yeah.
This is where it gets. Yeah, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Let's start with the left, because I think we all think that'll be James, right? James? Yeah. James on the left, then. Let me fill that in. This is where it's up for contention. Can I throw forward a name? I think Shaq comes out and we replace him with Sam Greenwood from the right. Thoughts?
Right. I think Greenwood in the 10.
Okay.
Or Joffe.
Yeah.
And then move Poveda out on the right?
Poveda on the right.
Joffe in the 10 and Poveda on the right for me. I don't
Would you not play Greenwood?
I don't think he'll be ready to start. Fitness wise.
I don't play Joffe in me. I don't play Joffe in me.
No, I think he'll play Joffe instead, because of the fitness level of Greenwood. He's been injured and he's returning from an injury, so I don't think he has the 90 minutes in him. I think that they'll probably bring him in the second half. I think he'll play with mixed reasons to me, because the ideal scenario would be Samuel, but of course he's injured, and we don't have a number 10. So you have to adapt. Yeah. You are forced to adapt a winger. So Sinisterra, we don't know if he's going to be involved, if he's not. But with him not training with the squad, I think he's not going to be involved. No. And until the legal status of his clause gets settled. So the only one with more pace, the pacey one, between those players, especially looking at what Lucky said, about the pressing, because the three behind the striker will have to press, and they will have space when we recommend the ball, when they make a mistake from the back. So they will need to sprint towards the goal. I think that the player that will make more sense in that case will be Joffrey for me. So I'll play with Joffrey in the middle, Gellert, and Poveda on the right.
Yeah. I think Poveda looked too lost both physically and technically in the 10 last week. Get him on the right, 1v1, the defender. I'm all right with it.
I think he gets eaten alive tomorrow, and we can all just say, okay, he's not the one. So we think Joffrey in the... I think he'll start Greenwood, but I understand your logic. I do, believe me. So number 11 in this, but our number 9, are we all saying then, I guess, Rutter?
Rutter. No alternative.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be Rutter, isn't it?
Yeah. I hope he gets a goal. He needs it. He really does.
What we saying, folks? Happy?
Well, it's like
you know what? I don't know why it looks slightly better than last week with Rodon in there.
I think you need glasses.
Well, we've got Rodon. Rodon's better, isn't it?
Rodon, I suppose. Yeah. Defensively, we weren't that bad actually last week, if we're being honest.
No. And I'd rather Poveda on the right than Shaqs.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want
Shackleton
starting.
But it's like a chimera, You have a good side at the back, then you move forward. Okay, Ampul and Gray are decent, and up front, it's just let's play. It has FIFA vibes, up front. It's like a FIFA Ultimate Team in the final third. Yeah, it's like let's go and hope for the best, in the final third, because you have James Spacey, but the other ones, Poveda and Joffrey, are subs, of course, and Rutter is not a number 9, so it's difficult. But if they exploit the pressing, that would be good.
I just look at that lineup and compare it with West Brom's lineup, and it's chalk and cheese, man. Steve says defensively we lost the game, Joe. That is bad. We weren't bad defensively, mate. Over the course of the 90 minutes, we weren't. Neither side were. I know. Neither side were, mate.
Yeah, midfield battle.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know what you're on about there, mate. But crack on. What does we've got a few comments in here about Rutter being a winger again. I think we'd all prefer him playing out on wide, but again, we don't have a striker. For those that are mentioning Perkins needs to pull up his bootstraps because he's literally doing nothing in training by all accounts, and that's what Daniel Farker said. So he's not just going to throw him in to start. So it is what it is, So we move. I mean, I'm not even going to entertain it. Anyway, we move. So I there's nothing really else we can change, is there, folks?
No, I want to see Rutter in the 10 as well. I'll take that at this point. But we ain't got a striker at all. So unless he swatches Joffrey and Rutter around, but I highly doubt that, to be honest. I think that'll be it. Yeah,
it's not great, is it?
No,
not great.
Not where we want to be. Not all.
Yeah. It's not ideal. It's not ideal.
But hopefully, this is the last week with a lack of options.
Yes, hopefully. We do hope so. Yeah. Hopefully, because next week's going to be fun. So let's get round to score prediction time. I think I'm just having a look here on my spreadsheets.
Nice.
We had, let's have a look. Birmingham, Andrea picked 1-1 with James to score first. Lockie had 3-2 with Byram to score first. Lloyd had 2-2.
He came close, did Byram, to be fair.
He did. Lloyd had 2-2 with Cine, and I had 1-1 with Cine. That was before we knew Cine was an absolute turncoat. So let's get some score predictions for this one, folks. Lockie, I'm going to come to you first, my man.
Right. Do you know what, right? I do these reports because I try and, find out ways we can win. So if I did these reports and when we're going to lose, I'd be disrespecting my report. So I got to come on here and be really unrealistic. You know what? And you know what I've been seeing all day as well? People doubting us. I hate that. It annoys me. I want to prove them wrong. So my passion merchant side comes out. Every time we do one of these, we're going to win tomorrow.
Okay.
A 2-1 win. Yeah, why
not? Who's your goal scorer? First one.
Goal scorer. Leeds, I've been quite good with this, haven't I? I got Cooper.
You got one.
Byron came close though. Byron
been pretty good at 2 games.
My boy Rutter's
just call him Nostradamus. Nostradamus.
Jorginho Rutter. Yeah.
Rutter. Yeah. Okay.
A scrappy little one. Just going to tap it in.
Nice. I say West Brom beaters. I just think they've got too much pace, too much power, too much physicality, and I think it'll look like men against boys at time. I'm sorry. I just don't think the squad's quite there yet, unfortunately. So I think they beat us. I don't even think we'll score. I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be good tomorrow. 2-0 West Brom. So no scorer. So do I get points if I get no scorer?
Yes, their first scorer.
Who was their first scorer?
Yeah,
Wallace. Jed Wallace.
Oh, he always scores against us.
Yeah, exactly. Andrea, can you be positive or
no? I cannot be honest. I'm pretty worried about tomorrow because I think the physical battle will be too much in midfield for us, and I think we'll lose the battle in midfield. They're just more physical than us, so I'm a little bit. Yesterday I said 2-1 for them, for the WBA. I'm a little bit conflicted between 2-1 and 2-2, but then I remember we have no striker, so
yeah.
Unless we score a scrappy equalizer, I'm gonna say 2-1 for West Brom, honestly. And our only goal scorer, I'm gonna say Dan James again, because I think they will concede eventually, like they did with Blackburn, because they make mistakes from the back, and I think if we press them, we score with one of the two wingers, either Poveda or James. I'm gonna say James.
We need them to be brave on the ball, man, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. Like workhorses, they need to work hard and never stop, And but I think in midfield they're just better than us in terms of physicality and rhythm. It will be like Cardiff, but the difference to Cardiff is that they had Rose and Wintle who were not going forward. They have to press at the back. Kuzlu and either Swift or Malumbi or Chalobah or Mawat will go forward, and that's the main difference. So I think we'll concede in these situations. So I'm gonna say, unfortunately, I really hope I'm wrong. 2-1 West Brom.
Yeah, same. Look, I'm not even. The thing is, as well, I'm as angry as I am at the board up to. I'm nonplussed about this month as a whole. Like this month's a write-off for me. The season starts for us September 1st. That's where my head's at, because we need to. And Farker almost said it's going to be bumpy. It's going to be bumpy, and now trying to look at it from an outside, or trying to be a little bit more pragmatic about it. I've just got to get through this month, and we've only got this and then 2 more games, and we might get a win. I think we'll win down at Salford and then probably lose to Ipswich, and I've set 1 point on the board in the league. But from September it can change. Remember, Burnley struggled. Middlesbrough were in the bottom 3 for 3 months before they came up to 3rd. So there's time to turn it around in this league. Nottingham Forest as well.
Daniel Farker's team struggle at the start of the season as well.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's that. It's more a case of if he had the personnel, we would be better. But at the minute, like the two teams that we've played so far, they're going to be down there. This is the first real test for me.
Yeah, we just need to get past the month of August, in the end.
Yeah.
Or just
get in. I like that, bro. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. And listen, if it's still like this come September the 1st, then be ready for the.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, just be ready for probably a really, really bad season, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Which would be brutal. Well, it is what it is. We move. Listen, I'll be back tomorrow from 7 o'clock because, of course, we have a game tomorrow night. Watch along at 8. So make sure you're tuned in. Lockie, have you got anything coming tomorrow? Anything going on?
I released my pre-match today. I'll probably get a ratings thing the day after tomorrow. Yeah, some match stuff, and then hopefully some player stuff next week.
Nice. Andrea, what's been going down? Have you got anything you want to add, my man?
No, I think we've all spoken enough. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah. I think I'm just excited.
The talking is over. The talking is over.
Andrea, I need some positive words in Italian again. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Nel calcio possono succedere tante cose. Può succedere una sorpresa domani sera che dibattiamo.
Oh, there you go.
You don't want to know what I said?
He's just said 4-0 to West Brom.
I said many things can happen in football, and tomorrow a surprise can happen. You can even beat them.
Oh, nice. I like it. Listen, hopefully we get some shocks and some players on the bench that we were expecting, and they're involved at some point, and hopefully we can, not disgrace ourselves and maybe get a win. Yeah. Jamie says, "Bye, Paula Joe at full time tomorrow. We'll be screaming for the lot to be burned down." Probably, bro. What do you want, though? You know what it's like when you're watching football, man. But I'm just trying to keep positive ahead of the game. It is what it is. Thanks always for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Smash a like if you haven't already. And we will. We'll see you tomorrow, or if not, I will. But if not, we'll see you on the final word, which will be Saturday night at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. Sorry. Yeah, I'm rambling now. I need my bed. Peace out, folks. Enjoy.